The state of our industry tonight, in a word, is misunderstood.
The industry is not sitting on its laurels, it's now aggressively marketing guns to children.
Who needs an assault rifle to go hunting? You can't even use the prey that you kill with an assault rifle.
But here we are allowing people to sell and advertise, buy this bullet, you can kill a cop.
What is the sport in owning one of these?
That you come in, you brandish your little book as if I don't know.
My little book, that's the Constitution of the United States, our founding document here.
I know what's fired 2 blasts outside the house. I promise you, who's ever coming in is not going to, you don't need an AR-15. Buy a shotgun.
My deep concern is that we rush to legislation, and that legislation passes without complete information, without full consideration.
The effect would be dramatic, and it could be dramatic for not just us, but other manufacturers as well.
We directly employ a couple hundred people, but we indirectly employ thousands throughout the state.
And the shame of it is, the real shame of it all, is we're no safer.
New York is making history tonight. Just a few minutes ago, Governor Cuomo signed tough new gun restrictions into law.
Let them look at New York and say, this is what you can do.
Don't kid yourself. In Washington, D.C., you're under attack.
That's why I've asked the Vice President to lead an effort that includes members of my cabinet and outside organizations to come up with a set of concrete proposals that I then intend to push without delay.
California Senator Dianne Feinstein reintroducing a revised version of the assault weapons ban. They aren't used for self-defense. They're used to maximize the amount of damage one can do in a short amount of time.
No one needs
It's Washington. The politics is always part of the discussion, but for the industry, it's about the policy.
We are awaiting a crucial vote in the Senate, one that could determine the future of gun control legislation on Capitol Hill.
We're here at our 6th annual congressional fly-in. It's a critical day to be in Washington. We couldn't have timed it better. We have an opportunity to have a real direct impact by talking to these senators right before they go out and vote this afternoon.
You've got the key people here to try to make sure that legislators hear our voice and don't do anything that offends our interests.
You've got to know that there are a lot of men and women here who are sportsmen. It's not about whether we hunt or not, it's about we respect the Constitution.
We don't support Senator Manchin's proposal. He asked us to support his amendment, but we're not able to do that, unfortunately.
President Biden presided. The background check amendment failed to clear the 60-vote threshold needed to pass.
The amendment is not agreed to.
On this vote, the yeas are 46, the nays are 54. The amendment is not agreed to.
On this vote, the yeas are 40, the nays are 60. The amendment is not agreed to.
I have watched these votes, and I must say I view them with substantial dismay.
Friday, more than 50 Colorado sheriffs joined together to sue the state for legislation they say is unconstitutional and unenforceable.
And in their rush to pass new laws, they didn't bother listening to the people charged with enforcing them.
Colorado has now just tossed out 2 state lawmakers who played prominent roles in passing new gun restrictions.
You can't control human behavior by controlling equipment. We focus on hardware. We focus on things we can touch. But we don't focus on the real issue, which is that all of these situations, by definition, require someone to be mentally disturbed.
How are we supposed to catch these really psychotic, schizophrenic people if the records aren't being put into the system?
We think the current system is broken. Focus needs to be on fixing next. That's why we have our initiative.
So what is the fix?
We think the best thing to do is look at access to firearms, because the same firearms in the hands of a law-abiding sportsman is a horror show in the hands of a violent criminal who shouldn't have them and is not legally entitled to possess them.
Is there any zone for compromise?
Absolutely, absolutely. Safety is a common ground.
Project Child Safe is the largest and most comprehensive firearm safety program in the United States.
If we focus on safety with firearms, preventing unauthorized access, it helps prevent accidents, theft, and misuse, and that's something we can all agree on.
I want to make it clear to the American people that this effort is not over. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to our stage National Shooting Sports Foundation President Steve Sanetti.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A year ago, we met in the shadow of a horrifying event that shook America to its core. A lot of soul searching needed to be done and was done. In light of an unprecedented gun control push by this administration, advocacy groups, and the media, it was thought by many that emotion would triumph over facts and logic. We were called every name in the book. This industry and its law-abiding, responsible customers responded respectfully and thoughtfully to some of the most outrageous attacks upon us. The determination to make our case known to all those interested in the truth was overwhelming and extremely gratifying. A look around this room will show one of the finest assemblages of the American spirit that we will ever see. We've relied upon you to win this fight. If our industry doesn't have the integrity, the passion, and the determination to stand up for the law-abiding citizens of this great nation, then we are finished. But we're not finished. Not by a long shot. In fact, our message of thoughtful criticism, of well-meant but ineffective proposals to thwart the lawless elements of our society by heaping even more restrictions upon lawful hunters, target shooters, collectors, and those seeking to lawfully defend their families has resonated with the American public. Not only has support for these wrongly directed gun control proposals returned to pre-Newtown levels, but we've seen record numbers of Americans from all walks of life flock to the side of lawful firearms ownership. We have weathered the storm. Now, this has been the result of a lot of hard work and dedicated efforts by a lot of good people. To borrow a now famous phrase, we didn't do it alone. But we at the National Shooting Sports Foundation, our Board of Governors, and our entire industry embarked on what many thought was an extremely ambitious, perhaps overly ambitious, or even an unachievable goal 5 years ago. And that was to increase participation in hunting and the shooting sports by 20% by the year 2014. So tonight, let's see how we've done, working together as never before in the face of overt hostility by those who see no value in the lawful enjoyment of responsible firearms ownership or a day afield or at the range with families and friends. We know those joys, and our efforts to include others is having a profound effect upon increased participation in the shooting sports. Consider these facts comparing where we've been in just a few years. Hunting license sales are up, led by 1 million new apprentice hunting licenses issued pursuant to the Families Afield and Trailblazer programs. Themselves are up 223%. Our firearms retailer survey also shows sales trends strongly up during the last 3 years. And since 2006, hunter expenditures have grown 55%. Hunting Works for America is a strong coalition of businesses that directly benefit from these expenditures, giving local economies a healthy boost in revenues in these past 5 economically troubled years. And that's over 1 million American jobs and $67 million added to the economy each year by hunters and shooters. A nationwide scientific survey by Responsive Management shows that 79% of Americans over age 17 approve of hunting, up 5% in just the last year to the highest level since 1995. Hunting participation is up 9% since 2006, reversing a decades-long decline, according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Total days of hunting went up 23% during this period, and the number of women hunters surged by 25% between 2006 and 2011, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. National instant background checks for new firearms sold at retail are up over 53%. Federal excise tax revenues on the sales of new firearms and ammunition used to conserve all species of wildlife shot up from $309 million in 2008 to almost $644 million in 2012, over a 100% increase, with 2013 on track to do even better. Sportsmen and women remain the single largest contributors to conservation in America, with funds coming from every single cartridge or firearm or hunting license sold. Membership in the National Shooting Sports Foundation is up 71% to over 10,000 people and organizations, despite the fact, as Bob Scott mentioned, that currently only 25% of exhibitors at the SHOT Show are NSSF members. NSSF's First Shots participants are up a record 23%. Skeet shooting and sporting clays are up 26%, with an increase of 27% in Scholastic Clay Targram program participants. Defensive pistol shooting course participation is up 57%. Persons holding concealed carry licenses are up 32% nationwide. National Wild Turkey Federation programs are up 70%. Outdoor adventures and youth hunts are up an astonishing 100%, and 4-H shooting sports activities are up 169%. There are so many positive things to say about the state of the shooting sports in America today. Pull the Trigger, our extremely popular and informative short how-to-do-it video clips on the NSSF website, has gone from nothing to over 1 million email addresses each month. So I suppose that's a 1,000,000% increase. Our analysis of sport shooting participation trends in the U.S. from 2008 to 2012 shows that, not declining, over 40 million Americans now enjoy target shooting, up 17% since 2009. And good news, 20% of the new target shooters first started participating during the last 5 years. These participants are younger, more female, more urban-based, and that coincides with the surge in firearm sales that began in 2008, 40 consecutive months of sales growth. While self-defense was the key motivation for 76% of these sales, right behind that was a desire to participate in shooting activities with family and friends, cited by 73% of first-time gun buyers. Women target shooters have also increased by 34%, according to the National Sporting Goods Association. These groups represent the future of our industry and the future of the shooting sports in America. The NSSF Range Partnership Program has helped upgrade over 100 shooting ranges nationwide, and more ranges have received our coveted 5-star rating. Our Where to Shoot app has been a big hit with iPhone and Android users, at one point soaring up to the number 4 spot of all free sports apps with more than 100,000 downloads. Our Collegiate Shooting Sports Initiative has also grown since 2008, from nothing to over 100 participating colleges and universities. Now, these are just some of the statistics we've gathered on the successful efforts of so many groups and so many of you to keep our recreational shooting sports vital and growing. Time doesn't permit me to mention all of you who've given so much, so successfully to our cause, and I've apologized if I omitted your program, but you have the profound thanks of our entire industry and the entire recreational shooting sports community. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we gather here tonight, the state of our industry is renewed. More persons are entering the recreational shooting sports than ever before. More hunters, more target shooters, more women, more diverse groups, more licensed gun owners, and as you know, more firearms sales. And perhaps the best news of all, totally overlooked by the media, is that despite these tremendous increases in these numbers, violent crime with firearms has decreased dramatically during the last 5 years to records not seen since the early 1960s levels. Another fact they overlook, accidents with firearms have dropped 22%, now accounting for less than 1% of all fatal accidents in this country, according to the National Safety Council. Voluntary industry safety programs, such as Project ChildSafe's 36 million free lock and safety package giveaways to over 15,000 communities around the country, have undoubtedly helped, and we're pledged to continue these efforts. So tonight, be proud of the contributions you're making. Be proud of our young people, like the Olympic shooters we're honored to have with us again tonight. Be proud of your National Shooting Sports Foundation staff back there at table 192. They were They work so hard for you every day to promote, protect, and preserve hunting and the shooting sports. Be proud of all the volunteer hunter and firearm safety instructors who work so hard to keep a safe sport safe. Be proud of all of those who take the time to bring a new person to the range and introduce them to the way we love. Be proud of the excise taxes you pay every time you buy any firearm or ammunition contribute billions of dollars a year to conserve wildlife, game, and non-game species alike. And finally, be proud that you are keeping our nation strong by keeping a precious American tradition of personal responsibility, safety, and security alive for future generations. For ours is a precious legacy enjoyed by no other society on the face of the earth. As we begin a new year and set new goals for the next 5 years, we stand on the shoulders of giants and will not let them down. Thank you very much. Thank you.